Coffee Pot Conversations.
Bonjour et bienvenue to Coffee Pot Conversations, hosted by an Englishman in Paris. That was a mouthful. I did struggle fitting it all into such a tight space. Anyway, welcome to episode 4.5 and November Overnight Stay in Paris, part 14. What's been happening with me is I went to a niche show. It was where they were advertising unique niche perfumes. A lot of oud out in the market at the minute, but there was some really amazing stuff out there. A quick shout out to AJ. I know he's not going to be listening to this, but we are in communication, so who knows what's going to happen in the future. More on that in a later episode, possibly. A few other people I spoke to as well, lovely people. There was a daughter who was running a business, but she was their own lady, and I ended up chatting to the dad. That was a nice conversation. He's not involved in the business at all. He sort of helped slap all the gear to and fro. Really, really nice man. Now retired, used to work in tech. What else has been going on? Well, the weekend just gone, I was at an old school friend's barbecue for commemorate the birthday of another old school friend, and there was other school friends there as well, and the regular family. It's a sort of regular occurrence now, an annual September Fest, which is nice. So big shout out to Schofield, David, Griffin, Sarah, Kelly. That's not little Kelly, it's a different Kelly. This is Kelly that I think I mentioned in a blog or a post previously. And everyone else that was there, Jane. So Reynolds couldn't make it, she was busy. And all these names, I know, but that was that. But I was with the boys, Nev's over in Cyprus with Daisy, so she couldn't be there, but she did send her love, and I all missed her. And what else? Well, I think that's it for the time being. I know I have been struggling, and the quality of the hands, the quality of microphones. I'm back on DJI. I'm trying so many different things with different cameras as well, different phones. I'm just trying to get prepped for, I don't want to say my November trip to Paris because that's going to give people nightmares. But yeah, I'm going back to Paris in November. It seems to be my thing in a minute where I do lots of podcast prep. I just want to make sure that I've nailed it so I'm not having to do loads of stuff once I get back. It's hard work. So this episode has been hard work, which is really weird because I'd sort of prepped everything in relation to doing it before, didn't finish it all, and where I'm utilising this is real work, real brick, and that's not real wood, but you know, that hurt. And that is real proper brick. So this is my favourite coffee shop in Clapton, possibly Hackney, but I've not really explored enough of Hackney. But this is the Mocha Pot. There are a few of them around. I don't know if it's the same company or not, but this is my favourite one. It's in Lower Clapton Road, if anyone's ever in London. Pop in, visit. It's as big as a minute, but it's nice coffee, which is nice. And I always pop here to do stuff like this or work on the podcast if I'm not working in the office, because this isn't my full-time job. This is, God, it feels like it, but this is my part-time hobby. But anyway, enough about that. All that's really left to do is break into the news. So, Paul, you there? Paul? All right, okay, yeah. Well, it turns out he normally looks up once he's finished his chat. I'm sure I've got the rough end of the stick. Oh, sorry, Paul. Yep, loud and clear. So, on the news, French politics really disappoints when it comes to drama. Even by French standards, the past week's been remarkable. Prime Minister Francis Bayrou, only in office since January, has thrown down the gauntlet. Confidence vote scheduled for September the 8th, the day before this episode was released. It's an extraordinary gamble. If we're being honest, it looks more like political self-destruction and strategic brilliance. I am obviously referring to the vote itself, rather than him having a vote before the episode was released. Bayreuth's argument is stark. France is living beyond its means, and the numbers are hard to contest. A national debt of 3.3 trillion euros, increasing at the pace of 5,000 euros per second, will give any finance minister or podcaster sleepless nights. His plan is to tighten the national belt, proposing savings of nearly 44 billion euros over the coming year. Among the measures are the suppression of Easter Monday and Victory in Europe Day as public holidays, the loss of 3,000 civil servant jobs, stricter controls on strict leave, a freeze on pensions and income tax payments, plus a new contribution from France's highest earners. Unsurprisingly, these have gone down like a French kiss at a family reunion. Political arithmetic is equally grim. His party holds just 79 seats, and although few deputies from the Republicans and Horizons may back him, the combined forces have pledged to vote against him. The final score, he's looking at 300 votes stacked in opposition, and the result looks almost foregone. A collapse of the government and either a new Prime Minister, handpicked by Emmanuel Macron, or worse for Macron, fresh elections at a time when his popularity is already languishing. Do you remember his last snap decision? Will I have the result before the release of this episode? Will you join in next time for the result and any fallout that's materialised? This summer marked a historic turning point. For the first time in a century, regular Parisians swam legally in their river. What began with scepticism has turned into a triumph, with over 75,000 swimmers diving into the city waters. Almost sounds a bit like the Olympics. But anyway, two bathing sites, Grenelle and Bercy, have proved so popular they've stayed open into September. Yet, not all the news is rosy. The Bras-Marie site, opposite the Ile Saint-Louis, will not reopen in 2026. The decision reflects the practicalities of navigation. Cruise ships, commercial barges and river traffic can't easily accommodate a split waterway there. However, in its place, two new potential swimming spots are under review. One is near the Pont Louis-Philippe and the other at the Tino-Rossi Gardens. The latter, steeped in history, was once a favoured bathing site in the 16th and 17th centuries and may well reclaim its place in the Parisian summer ritual. This initiative, part of the broader Plan Baignade, represents not only ecological ambition, but also a reconnection between Parisians and their river. To swim in a Seine is to share in a tradition that stretches back centuries, with all the romance and pride that comes with it. And now, for something a little lighter, but just as dramatic. London's West End's Moulin Rouge, the musical, has extended its run at the Piccadilly Theatre, now booking until May the 23rd, 2026. The vibrant stage adaptation of Baz Luhrmann's 2001 film follows a romance between Christian, a penniless writer, and Satine, a courtesan whose beauty and fate define the bohemian underworld of Fin de Siècle Paris. From October the 13th, 2025, a new cast will step into the spotlight. Paris Anderson from Scooch, I don't remember them either, takes on the glittering role of Satine. Alistair Brammer, who has previously played Jean Prouvaire in the 2012 Les Mis film, as well as being in the 25th anniversary show back in 2010, becomes Christian, whilst Craig Ryder continues to lead the cabaret as Harold Ziegler. The ensemble is extensive and talented, with Richard Lloyd King as Toulouse-Lautrec and Ben Richards as the Duke. When I treated Ned for a birthday, we saw Ben Richards in this role, and honestly, it was an amazing performance. The show is like the film, but it's live, and they've updated the musical score as well. Meanwhile, sticking with the stage, but moving back to Paris, the Opéra National de Paris is preparing for a vast renovation project. Both the Palais Garnier and the Opéra Bastille are showing their age, with urgent reports noting structural and ecological shortcomings. The programme, titled New Era, New Air, will unfold over the next decade. Between 2027 and 2029, the stage of the Palais Garnier will close for restoration, but the public will still be able to visit its grand foyers and iconic marble staircases. The Bastille Opera House will follow, with closures between 2030 and 2032 to overhaul its stage equipment and rehearsal spaces. Cost is around 450 million euros to be shared between state funding, the opera's own resources and its patrons. Beyond the restorations themselves, there are promises of new dining areas, immersive experiences, and from 2030 onwards, free daytime access to the public areas of the Bastille Opera House. Just a small token from an art form often accused of elitism, and a final historical reflection to balance our discussion of Beirut's precarious future. France has long been shaped by its ministers as much as its monarchs. Consider Nicolas Richelieu, who served as chief minister to Louis XIII from 1624 until his death in 1642. He was born in Paris 440 years ago on the 9th of September 1585. Richelieu consolidated royal power, subdued rebellious nobles, and set France on the path to European dominance. He was ruthless, strategic, and to his critics, authoritarian. Yet his influence was profound, reminding us that French political life has always oscillated between fragile instability and moments of enduring control. I also remember him just being a dog in D'Artagnan and the Musket Hounds. But anyway, in the shadow of Richelieu, one wonders, will Beirut be remembered for statesmanship or merely as another casualty of France's turbulent political theatre? See what I did there? 10 grand for a master's degree, and I still create the threaded news reports. Anyways, over to Rory.
Coffee Pot Conversations.
Okay, so that was Champs-Elysees. I might cut it out, depending on how I'm splicing everything. But what I'm going to do now is walk to Galeries Lafayette. I believe it's around Boulevard Haussmann area, but I don't know. I just remember there being a big building the other side of it, almost like an opera. So let's do this.
So for those of you not watching, you're not missing anything, because it should be here that I apologise for some really bad, dodgy camera work. It's just all over. Oh, back now. And similarly, for those of you not watching, it is 20 to 1 on the 29th of November 2024. I'm in the 8th arrondissement, walking down Avenue de Friedland, or Avenue de Friedland. Avenue de Friedland. Depends how you pronounce it. I've got about 2.5 minutes to fill space whilst I'm walking down Avenue de Friedland. There's not much really I can say. I didn't know anything about it. I thought it was going to be like a French general or something like that. But it turns out that's not the case. Oh no, it's not. So, the name Friedland is all to do with a battle that took place on the 14th of June 1807 in East Prussia. It was during part of the whole Napoleonic Wars. Now this, honestly, there's a lot to unwrap, and I'm really not going to do that now. It may end up being an entire season. Now there are other podcasts available out there that talks about Napoleon and everything that he went through, and there's also ones all about wars and battles. Napoleon came on after the original, that we class as the original French Revolution back in 1789, which honestly I don't really want to go into that at all, because it is hugely, vastly complex, where it's not just France doing things, it's Europe, and it involves the monarchy and republicans and different empires, and it's a long one. Anyway, you can check all that out on Google, look for the podcast. There's amazing people that are doing amazing stuff with all that. However, the Battle of Friedland was a victory by Napoleon, and it was a decisive victory for the French forces over their Russian enemies. It ended up with the Treaty of Tilsit, where Napoleon was able to dictate peace terms to his opponents. A famous painting by Horace Vernet, who is apparently a leading history artist in Restoration France. He painted quite a few different paintings, including the French conquest of Algeria. He always sort of does nice, big, bold colours, big statements, quite, those realistic paintings as opposed to how people depict things. He didn't do it from a photograph. Was he there? Who really knows? This painting that I'm referring to was done in 1835, so that's, just under 30 years later. You can decide. Anyway, this particular painting, the Battle of Friedland, also sometimes known as Napoleon at the Battle of Friedland, has Nelson issuing orders to Marshal Nicolas Oudinot with Etienne de Nansouty and Marshal Ney behind them. It was exhibited at the Salon of 1836 in Paris, and it's now on display in the Galerie des Batailles at the Palace of Versailles. So there we go.
We have to hand it to the French. They know how to build buildings. Chambre de commerce et d'industrie. Chamber of Commerce and Industry.
Yep, it's the headquarters of the Chambers of Commerce and Industry for the Paris Île-de-France region. In 2024, 220,000 businesses were supported alongside 12,500 creators and sellers.
Look, again, just out of nowhere. There's St. Ethelberger. Not him, but that's a church.
Yep, Église du Saint-Sacrement, founded in 1856 by Father Hermard. The Blessed Sacrament Community moved several times in the 14th arrondissement before settling in April 1876 in the 8th arrondissement. Since 1877, Father Hermard has rested in the church.
Yep, Paul broke the camera.
That was just some kind of computer graphic just showing that I've fixed the camera. It's just a nice little transition which played badly in the ears. One thing you may find a little weird whilst travelling through the lesser known streets on foot is when you walk past a gym. You will know it's a gym because people inside will be staring at you as you walk past them. But why is that? Well, us in the UK and the US tend to use mirrors to attempt to self-motivate. Parisians would rather not look at themselves. For them, mirrors are to be used when preening rather than improving. Generalisation, I know, but hey, it's my podcast. Also, it gives them a chance to watch people walking past. Parisian pastime.
So it turns out, while I was messing about with the screens because it wasn't working, I turned off the old face track, which is why I ended up over here at some point. And not where I should have been. So that should be fixed now. Hopefully I get to Galerie Lafayette soon. By about 1:30 to do me. Then I can try and find somewhere to eat, sit down, chill beans, maybe do a little bit of writing. And refresh my batteries. Quite literally.
In my podcast notes for this voiceover, I said random chat, 25 seconds. Well, it's not as easy as you think. But anyway, I'm just walking down the road. I'm actually just watching the video whilst thinking about what to say to those that aren't watching the video, which is available on Spotify and YouTube. Now I'm looking in the shop window. Fleetwood Mac record, turntable, and speakers.
That loudspeaker, €450.
And it was all in red. Now I'm looking through a doorway. Back to walking.
Is that shonky for the doorway? Yeah, not it.
Yeah, sometimes I should look ahead and plan what I'm going to say.
I don't know how much of that's going to be picked up on the camera, but we are still on Avenue de Friedland. I think this is where I need to go to get to where I need to go. If I carry on walking straight until my legs can't take it.
And now we're on Boulevard Haussmann, whose episode will be coming up not next season, possibly the one after. Have to keep listening, find out when it is. It won't be next season, I promise you. So for this little break in me talking, I'm talking, and I've put down random chat. So again, it's another random chat. It's November, it's cold. There's one chap in front with a nice little trench coat on. Is it a trench coat? Crombie. That rings a bell. And the chap next to him is wearing a gilet, or as we say in England, body warmer.
Le Prince de Faubourg will be one that I may pop back into. I have to take this straight on still. Back at right.
Now, you already know where to find me. Spotify and YouTube for audio and video. Also Apple, just for the audio, but also available on my blog site at anenglishmaninparis.blog. You can email me if you wish to have a chat about this episode 4.5 at anenglishmaninparis.blog. If you just want to chat about anything, then there I am, podcast at anenglishmaninparis.blog. Find me on Instagram at anenglishmaninparis.blog. You can kind of feel the theme going on here. If you wish to leave me a message, a vocal message, voice note.anenglishmaninparis.blog. Finally, leave a comment, like, subscribe, follow and share.
And you will now see that we are in Boulevard Haussmann. It's one part of it. Wonder if I'll get back to that Starbucks in Cadet. So actually, if you Boulevard Haussmann, great example of Haussmannian architecture on both sides of the street. So I'm going to flick you around and have a look on the left and on the right as I'm walking. So in theory it was, obviously the shops in the bottom, moving further and further up to the living quarters. It's like big windows, balconies, and all the rest of it that goes with it. I'll be doing an episode at some point, maybe walking up and down the road. There's so much beautiful architecture that takes place, so much history behind it. Just certain buildings had certain people living there or visiting or held meetings. That's what I like about Paris. It's all, I want to say close after the walk I've done today. I don't know how close it is, but look at this. This one's for the boys.
La Rugby Club, club privé since 2007.
Sometimes I can take a quick photo and boop. I actually want to pop into a Monoprix. Bonjour, monsieur.
I really wasn't sure if you wanted a fist bump or not. And now over to Paul for the weather. Paul.
So last week, snow in Paris. This week, sunshine's burning through my coat. Yeah. I don't even see that. Let me just try and zoom in. Looks like a Shaolin temple. just unexpected sights just by looking off the main road.
According to pagodaparis.com, it was originally built as an hôtel particulier in the French Louis-Philippe style, but bought in 1925 by Mr. Ching Sai-Lu, a collection and dealer of Chinese art and antiques. He had the building transformed into the pagoda that you now see.
Now literally it's just a fraction of Paris, a fraction of the sights and scenes that I normally see.
Coffee Pot Conversations.
And that was episode 4.5, An Englishman in Paris. No, it wasn't. And that was episode 4.5, a November overnight stay in Paris, part 14. Thanks for sticking through. This department, people go, oh, what's he going to talk about now? How is he going to conclude the episode? Well, I'm not going to give a call to action because, as Roy pointed out, I did that in the middle of 4.4 and it worked quite nicely. So I've done it again, as you've noticed or heard or listened. I'm also not going to tell you how to find me on Spotify or YouTube for the videos, Apple Podcasts for the audio, which is also available on Spotify and YouTube, because you're already here. I don't need to tell you that. I don't need to give you an email address of podcast@anenglishmaninparis.blog, because I would have already done it. I don't need to do anything else because I've done it all. So that's that. But moving on, I do want to say a quick hello to Frankie, friend of the show. She's been there since the beginning, and she has just come back again from Paris. It was Euro Disney or Disneyland Paris. I forget what they call it at the minute. Excuse me. Wait there, 2 cents. Real coffee. Try not to slurp that one. She was out there with her niece, dancing. The niece, not Frankie. And she messaged me saying, guess where I am? So that's it. So hello, Frankie. Thank you for constantly being one of my... Actually, I'm building up the numbers. So thank you for that to everyone. So thanks to Frankie. Thanks to everyone. If you are listening, please leave a comment, a like, a subscribe, follow, or something. Let me know you're there. Drop me an email. I will respond. I promise I will respond. Unless this is like, 2034, in which case I'll do my best to respond, because I probably would have got, an extra 3 emails by then. No, moving on. That's it, actually. It's now time for Jasper's jingle.
Coming up on Coffee Pot Conversations.
We have episode 4.6, a November overnight stay in Paris, part 15, which means we've got 15, 16, 17 and 18. Then it's the best bits. Then season 5, which, this is all preparation for. I'm enjoying this interaction. I'm sitting in an actual coffee shop, having coffee, talking to you out there. It is difficult trying to find the right balance between having it noisy and having it quiet. If it's quiet, like it is now, it's just me and the coffee owner and the baristas. Everyone can hear me talking. There's only a few people, but it gets a little embarrassing. If it's too busy, well, it's not great. I'm hoping microphones pick up properly, reducing external noise. That is hard work, and that's a lot of post-production, as we in the industry call it. So it's just work, and I don't want that. I haven't finished utilising my microphones. My frog's back again. Hang on. Excuse me. Too many late nights, and that's going to come to an end soon because Nev will be back. So whenever she's away on holiday, which is too often. No, it's fairly often. I always try and stay awake, so I know she's back. If she's not back by the time I go to sleep, she messages me, says she's back, and then I wake up in a panic. Oh, is she back here? There's nothing I can do. She's in bleeding Cyprus. I can't just jump me bright and cycle over there. But I would be like Liam Neeson and go find her. So that's that. So, just trying to work out a few more microphone things. It may end up being a lav connected here. I've tried the shotgun. We don't care. This isn't coming up. This should have been in the pre-conversation section. Enough waffle. I've gone on for too long. That's it. I've written something else down the bottom. Can't read it. Not going to say it. Actually, I can read it, but I'm not going to say it. It's a secret. So that is that. So once more, for the final time on this episode, Rory, it's over to you.
Coffee Pot Conversations.